Greetings, Autobots and Predacons. A special unboxing here for you today. So without further ado, let's see what we got in here. Yep, what we have here is a mint in condition, an original box, Transformers Robots in Disguise, Skybite. Fairly rare deal here. I actually got for a fairly good price off of eBay. So here we can get a fairly good look at what the packaging was. Level 3, I believe, refers to its supposed difficulty. You can see it's only ages 5 and up, though. Over here they got a picture of him in robot mode. No box art. This is actually an actual image of him, just put through a filter, not unlike Instagram, which wasn't really a thing back then, but you know, the concept was still there, of course. You can even see where it says to watch it on Fox Kids in a couple different languages. Again, referring to Robots in Disguise TV show back when it was on. Got the Hasbro logo underneath. It was fairly common for Robots in Disguise to come in multiple languages. Beast Wars and Beast Machines didn't do this so much for their American releases. Typically, you had to find like a Canadian one or one sold in Europe that would be in multiple languages. But Robots in Disguise just by default came this way. Well, I can understand them doing that. I have to admit, I don't like it because it makes it kind of crowded. You got all these words jammed in here where really only a couple are needed. But I suppose it saves on the difficulty of having different boxes for different locations. You can also see the Transformer logo here, the Robots in Disguise underneath. This became their favorite style for quite a while. Was used all the way through the Minicon trilogy even. Transformers Universe used it and a couple of others like alternators, I think. They just simply would change the Robots in Disguise to something else. Armada, Energon, you know, whatever. And you can see his name, Skybite, with a hyphen in between, and Byte as in electronics, computer byte. Got the Predacon logo, and they got the Predacon logo up here in this corner as well. On the side, you can see him again. Again, they're only showing his two modes that he uses in the TV show, his robot mode and his beast mode. Again, as this is a repaint of the Transmetal 2 Cybershock, he's actually got a third mode. Again, such as it is, it's a Transmetal type third mode, which is the beast mode with a couple of vehicle components. But still interesting that they don't have to advertise it. Usually, even if a character doesn't use an additional mode, the toy will still advertise it. Megatron in his Transmetal Dragon form, for example, also had a vehicle mode that he never used in the show, but that's advertised. Under here, we can see advertisements for other Robots in Disguise figures. You got Optimus Prime, shown in his truck and armored mode. He's the only one whose alt mode they show. You got Megatron in his robot mode, and the three Predacon Stooges all grouped together. This is because they were sold together. In fact, they were sold in a box just like this. Remember, they're basic class, and Skybite here is mega class. So they were, the basics are about $5-ish. I mean, it depends where you bought them from. Toys R Us, which is the thing back then, sold them for a little bit more expensive than you might buy at a Walmart or something. But Skybite here, as a mega, is actually essentially the same price as 3 basics, about $15 or so. The words here actually refer to Skybite as jaw-mounted tracer torpedo, spin drive tail. Those are all features that Skybite has. They got the barcode with proof of purchase. And it's the same image on either side. It's just Skybite in robot mode and beast mode, and Skybite in robot mode and beast mode, the logo, the name, all that. The top, again, it's got the logo, the Predacon symbol twice, the name, watch it on Fox Kids, and they go the jaw-mounted tracer torpedo spin drive tail again. Now, what I particularly like best about these older boxes, these older packaging that you don't really get nowadays, unfortunately, is the very back, which not only gives you some information about the show that he comes from, but actually provides something of a bio, which is exceedingly rare after Beast Machines, unfortunately. So again, like I said, kind of overly wordy. Not only do you have the legalese on here, but you got both the bio and the TV blurb in 3 different times. I assume Spanish and French. I don't really know these other languages are off the top of my head. Got the website there too. But in English anyway, it says, Megatron and his evil Predacons arrive on Earth with one goal, destruction. This causes a secret force of goodness to emerge, the heroic Autobots, led by Optimus Prime. They've hidden their existence by taking the form of vehicles, but now they reveal their true nature to fight Megatron and protect Earth. They are Transformers, robots in disguise. And again, that concept that the Autobots are hiding from the humans as well as the Predacons, except that as we've in recent episodes, they transform out in the highway in front of rush hour and traffic jam. I mean, how can they be hidden? So Robots in Disguise's tech specs are a little bit different than would come before. Previous tech specs would have a picture of the character. They would have the info, the stats, usually to one side, and then a bio underneath, describing something about the character. Robots in Disguise, for some reason, changed this, giving you essentially 2 cards, maybe it's put back to back, and taking a cue from Beast Machines, instead of having artwork, it's just an actual picture of Skybite, which is fine. Like I said, Beast Machines did the same thing. I'll see if I can get it in close for you. There we go. And it has the logo, his name, and his beast mode, and a Predacon symbol. Then the second card has his motto, again in multiple languages, I'll tear my enemies to shreds. I mean, it's really not much of a motto, especially for someone who's supposed to be like Skybite, a poetic character. Stats listed are Strength, which tops out at 8, Intelligence, which tops out at 10, Speed, which tops out at 8, Endurance, which tops out at 8 as well, Rank, which is 9. It's not clear what rank means. Is that his rank in the position, or rank as in how dangerous he is, how powerful he is? Courage, which is 7. Fire Blast, or Fire Power, is 8, and his skill is 9. As for his bio, it's up here, the English, and then again the translated versions, and says, he is one of the most feared and respected Predacon warriors. His intelligence and love of poetry fools friends and enemies into letting down their guard, only to witness his terrifying change into a merciless warrior. The anchor arm on his left side can crush even the thickest, strongest wall like a microchip in the jaws of a shark. And you can even have to see the challenge and the change here, with 1 for beginner, 2 for intermediate, 3 for advanced, and 4 for expert. And see, he's aligned as a 3. The challenge is in the change. But still, pretty retro to see this style of box. It's a bit of an odd style, this kind of weird red and black blur. I don't know necessarily why they went with this style per se. Certainly, it's a lot more simplistic looking. Beast Wars and Beast Machines had a nicer, definitely more effort put into the box art. But when they started bringing the Japanese shows over, I mean, I don't know how Japan packaged theirs, but for Hasbro, kind of seemed like they just sort of gave up on it and just slapped whatever. So, and I guess it's bright, the bright red, and the black is for good contrast. I mean, it's not like I hate the packaging or anything like that. As for Skybite himself, you can kind of see he's supposed to be a great white shark, but he's got quite a bit of blue and even purple. And of course, the robotic parts are painted, chrome, silver, or gray. What I do like, if you can make it out, is that, Robots in Disguise's early days had fantastic paint job. I mean, you can see they've almost painted every individual circuit area on him. Basically, all the knobs, anything circular, is painted either red or orange or green. Very, very nice detail. Now, Skybite is one of the few Robots in Disguise toys I actually didn't own until now. Partly because I didn't really see him in stores all that often anyway. And partly because, yeah, like most people, I didn't particularly like the character. He did become one of the more hated characters, partly because of just how popular, as I said before, the Cyber Shark toy was. And then they did this, to to the toy. Even though, granted, this is not Cyber Shark, but still, that's a bad taste in the mouths of a lot of fans. But over the years, most of us have come to accept it and even look back a little bit more fondly at him. But I did own the Transmetal 2 Cyber Shark, so I wasn't that motivated to get a duplicate model, essentially. Although, like I mentioned before in previous episodes, I am told there is some minor retooling done to him in order to help his transformation, as Cyber Shark did have some not the best designed shoulder plates. I mean, Cyber Shark, the Transmetal 2 version, is an excellent toy, even today still highly regarded, but the shoulders, they could have used some improvement. Alright, well, I'm going to get him out of the box now, and we can take a look at the actual model.
We now return to the Transformers.
Alright, here is Skybite along with Cyber Shark, like with the Three Stooges. I compare them to the original Beast War toys. Wait a second, that's not the right Cyber Shark. That's actually the original Cyber Shark. Hang on. There we go. Nope, that's still not right. That's Sharp Edge from Beast Wars Neo, a retool of the original Cyber Shark, but not the Transmetal 2 version. Give me a moment. Alright, nope, wrong again. This is actually Hellscream from Beast Wars 2, or actually Overbite, the Transformers Universe version, which is essentially the same color scheme with the Decepticon symbol added here, but it's a even more heavily retooled version of the original Cyber Shark. I have it around here somewhere. Ah, here we go. So as you can see, a side-by-side comparison of the Skybite toy from Robots in Disguise and the original Transmetal 2 Cyber Shark from Beast Wars. Now keep in mind, despite the fact that these are in fact the same model, just different colors, Skybite's supposed to be a great white shark, but the actual shark design is supposed to resemble a tiger shark, which is what Transmetal 2 Cyber Shark is. And again, for those unfamiliar with exactly what Transmetal 2 is a kind of technology, if you will, or concept from the third season of Beast Wars, which are basically cyborg robots, or in their animal mode, their beast mode, they are cyborgs with mechanical components, but in their robot mode, they are again still kind of cyborg, having animal components. Sort of a merger where beast and robot coexist in both modes. A closer look at Skybite here, if we can. I hope you can make out some of the detail here. Like I said, again, the molding is all Beast Wars. All the etching, all the design, all of that is Beast Wars. But the coloring here is Robots in Disguise. And like I said, they did a phenomenal job. I give full credit to Robots in Disguise. They may have been a ridiculous TV show, very campy, very much based off the original 80s cartoon, actually. If you're a fan of the original 80s, then you probably are a fan of Robots in Disguise. It's the same sort of madcap adventure. But it's not like the more serious, treat you like a grown-up that Beast Wars and Beast Machines did, which is why it wasn't received very favorably until the Minicon trilogy came out and we realized it could be even worse. By some estimates, that Transformers Animated was actually also worse than Robots in Disguise, although I only ever caught a few episodes, none of which impressed me or made me want to see more. But you can see parts of Skybite are chrome. This over here behind, between his neck, between his head and his body, sort of serving as a neck, I suppose, along with kind of this rib cage section. We've got kind of these turbines here, and then the fins are painted two-toned, actually, white on the inside, blue on the outside, which is pretty cool. He's got a lot of metal finish here, and like I said, all the different colors. The tail fin here is blue with yellow on the side, white underneath. You can see some blue fins down here, but the robot hand, unfortunately, but got a blue back fin here on one side, gray on the other. The main dorsal fin itself is primarily blue, although it's got kind of a white tone, silver to the back. They've even gone and painted the mouth. You can see the inside is pink. Again, very unusual for any Transformer franchise to do something like that with their Beast Transformers. So very cool to see that on him, actually. The eyes are not identical. You can see the other sort of a gray techno background with a red iris and black pupil. But then on the other side, just straight up blank red. Very, very shark-like there. Very, very mindless predator sort of look there. And again, wonderful detailing. For comparison, here is Cyber Shark in the original paint scheme. You can see essentially chrome in all the same areas. Unfortunately, again, I've had this model for a long time, and this is an unfortunate side effect of chrome and why Transformers doesn't really do it anymore, or Hasbro. As you can see, it's kind of been rubbing off in a lot of places, unfortunately. The chrome blue here is very nice, as is the gray blue tone to the skin. You can see there's no paint job to the mechanical details. They are all still there, kind of turning green underneath over here, but they're not painted. Again, that was just typical for Beast Wars at the time, and most Transformer lines, actually. Despite how much detail might go into the molding itself, paint job is usually fairly minimal. You can still see he's painted in some places where Skybite isn't. On the tail here, while it is one piece gray with the yellow before being green, you can see the front parts here are painted orange. On Skybite, they're just blue to match the rest of it. Not that that makes up for all the other paint deals that Skybite has, but it's interesting to see where they didn't paint it. Same with the turbines. Skybites were just straight up blue. He's got actually gray and orange. You can look into the mouth and see that it's not painted. Though he did get the white teeth on the top at least. But overall, fairly good. Again, the eyes are different, but it's harder to tell with Cyber Shark. You got the orange covers over most of the mech detail, and they painted more than just the pupil, making it look like a stripe. Again, I don't know if you can tell, the molding is actually the same on Skybites, but the paint makes it look like, you know, more of a slit there. And same deal for the other side.
The Transformers will return after these messages.
Now the set does come with instructions, a little bit different from the Beast Wars style, but you know, nothing bad, nothing you can't follow. Interesting, comes in a purple tint, despite in white, but the box being black and red. Now I wanted to show this real quickly. As I said before, Cyber Shark did retain a vehicle mode, despite that this was really a Transmetal thing and not a Transmetal 2. And there is no explanation in the bio why Cyber Shark retains a vehicle mode when other Transmetal 2s do not. One could suppose perhaps he's a little bit more powerful than the average Transmetal 2, but again, we're just not told. Skybite retains this. Interesting, the instructions for it actually have you transform it a little bit differently and refers to it as an attack mode. Now, attack modes was Hasbro's general purpose term for a mode that didn't serve a purpose. And actually, quite a few Beast Wars Transformers had attack modes, which did usually involve them being in their beast mode, but then having some sort of weapon activate, whether it was a gun, or maybe a blade, or a claw, or something. So let's look at the differences here. Cyber Shark, the original, the green fins on the tail come down, the sides open up, and while this doesn't unfortunately show all the robot legs here, if you look underneath, you can actually see the thruster jets that were intended to be the flight mode. Normally flipped all the way around like this, and you can kind of hopefully make out how you kind of have the turbojet and what kind of looks like the exhaust here, almost like a rocket. Again, this was, according to the bio, provides Cyber Shark with low-level flight. You also perhaps notice before this turntable is available, if you unpeg this that holds it still in robot in a beast mode, you can now spin the tail for that spin drive tail. Presumably this helps function if he stayed underwater like a submarine, allowing him to travel even faster. It's also this mode that his jaw-mounted rockets or torpedoes are supposed to become available. It's not supposed to be able to use it in beast mode, but as I said, Robots in Disguise would merge Skybite's vehicle and beast modes together so that he could fly and fire his shark missiles, even though he was in beast mode. But again, it's your toy. Do what you want with it. But for Cybershark, this was his flight mode. Now, the instructions for Skybite actually have you transform him like this. Not entirely sure why. In fact, the thrusters are pointing the wrong way. They're pointing up instead of down. It would seem to be more natural to have them turned this way. So at the very least, they're now pointing down, if you can make it out. And perhaps see the nose, the fuselage there of the rocket. Again, this way does help to cover up the legs a little bit, but it does awfully expose parts of the robot mode. The yellow side fins are put down just like they were for Cybershark. And again, if you go back here and release the pen, and just the arm back up there, he's now free to spin that tail. And this is how actually Skybite should fly. Although, because I kind of prefer Cybershark style, but... And again, this is the mode where his shark missiles would actually become available without him transforming into robot mode. But as I said before in previous episodes, this mode goes unused by the show. And even the box doesn't mention it. It barely appears in the instructions. It's simply entitled Attack Mode. I'm not really sure why they didn't make use of his third mode. He's not the only Transformer with a third mode that the Robots in the Sky series doesn't acknowledge. The only thing I can think of, other than maybe just sort of cheapness to save on animation, is it makes Megatron seem a little more special, that he's got all these modes where everyone else really just has the two. Say for Optimus, but then he's the other leader with his armored form. That's my only theory anyway. I've never heard an explanation for why they ignored the third mode on other characters. But hey, let's get him into robot mode.
We now return to the Transformers.
Alright, well here's our two Shark Boys in robot mode. And having transformed them both, I actually do not see any retooling on Skybite. I'm not sure if the reports of any retooling up for his shoulder pads is an error, or maybe it's the Takara version that had a retool and not the Hasbro version. They just repainted Cybershark straight up. Unusual if that's the case, but I really couldn't detect or see if there is retooling. It's extremely minor. Perhaps a slight adjustment, something slightly longer maybe. Again, transforming Cybershark's shoulder pads, these panels back here on the two of them, is very tricky. Made worse, unfortunately, by the thruster jets as well, which double as another panel. And it's very easy for these to pop off. In fact, transforming Cybershark, I did have them pop off. Not on Skybite, though, but again, that just may be because he's never been transformed before, so his joints are all nice and tight. I've transformed Cybershark plenty of times without having any joints pop off of him. So part of it's just knowing what you're doing. Once you transformed him once or twice and know what to expect, know what's expected, it's fairly easy to transform him, ahead of time and keep the parts on. Still, we can see a pretty good difference in their color schemes. Again, you may be able to tell with Cybershark some of his paint is unfortunately chipping off. One of the interesting things to note is the eyes in the chest. This is a very Depth Charge look. I'm not really sure why, that they're both Marine Transformers, Maximals originally. I mean, Skybite's obviously a Predacon. I actually have wondered back when I first got him if there was some sort of connection between Cybershark and Depth Charge, but other than stylistic, I am not aware of any. Paint-wise, they actually aren't as different in their robot modes as they are in their beast modes. As you can tell, starting from the bottom, they both got solid painted feet. Cybersharks are gray, Skybites are white. They both got solid painted ankles, green and gray. Lower leg, solid painted gray and white. And then they got the sort of Aquaman style shin guards here, green and yellow. The insides painted blue on here, painted gray on there. Slight difference here, I guess. The knee pads are colored. Cybershark's case to match the shin guards here. Skybite's case, they actually match the inner detail instead. Then the upper legs are again solid painted, gray and blue. There is molded detail, but neither of them have it painted. With their waist, same thing, just solid color, green and gray. For the arms here, again, Skybite has a little bit more detail. Both of them have this sort of shoulder pad, for lack of a better term. Yellow on Skybite, green on Cybershark. In Skybite's case, his inner arm is blue, matching the detail vents or something here on the side. And then his lower arm is white, but with a sort of darker blue guard piece here with shark details. On Cybershark, his inner arm is gray, and the vents on the side are blue, meaning it's 3 colors for his upper arm. However, his lower arm is gray to match the upper arm, and then the guard is also gray, so less coloring down there. This is essentially duplicated on the other arm. Skybite again has a sort of yellow shoulder pad, but a blue arm and blue vents on the side, and a gray elbow. Cybershark has got a green shoulder pad again, with again the vents painted blue, but not matching the inner arm, which is gray. Oh, again, that matches his other arm. And then the green elbow piece. Both pretty much have a solid arm of white and gray. And then the anchor claw is essentially colored the same, except that Cybershark's lower fin here is white. The upper one's blue. Cybersharks are both gray. And then green and green, yellow and yellow. For the chest, it's a little harder to tell because unfortunately some of Cybershark's paint has chipped off. But Skybite, I'd say, probably has a little bit more detailing. It's got a white background, the large amount painted gray, and then you've got the yellow circle, one side of the chest painted blue. I guess it's sort of Transmetal 2-ish in the sense that it's asymmetrical, but it's an odd color scheme, especially in the rest of him. It actually is fairly symmetrical, and color-wise at least. And then he's got some of the pink detailing for the eyes in a couple of other places, and of course the pink Predacon spark. Despite being a Mega Clash Transformer, both Cybershark and Skybite do suffer from visible spark syndrome. These guys are larger than Dulex is. You'd think they could have some type of little door to cover their spark crystals, seeing as that is a Transformer's life source. But nope, they're exposed to the world. Cybershark's case, his chest is gray, and he had a more green and sort of orange paint, which you see is partially chipped off, with blue eyes, and a little bit of black that used to circle the spark. Interestingly enough, I'm not sure if it's just my model, but Cybershark's maximal spark is more blue than it is green. This is unusual because in the Beast Wars line, the maximal sparks were all green. And every other Transmetal 2 maximal I have does have a green maximal spark. So I'm not sure why his is blue. Although it's kind of a sea green blue, admittedly, but still. For their heads, Skybite is slightly more painted. We can bring it up. Cybershark has a gray helmet, as you can see, with a green face, orange eyes, and then the blue dorsal fin out the top, which unfortunately I've lost a lot of the chrome on. And the teeth are painted white, which is a very nice touch. Skybite's case, the helmet is white, but the top is painted as sort of a blue tint to match the chrome of the dorsal fin, which again is blue but fades into white towards the bottom, or the front in this case. The face is yellow, but there's painted gray on the side, and the pink eyes, and again the teeth are painted white. Again, a nice touch. Now, it's no secret that I'm not the biggest fan of Skybite's paint job. Certainly holding the toy here, there's nothing bad about the quality of the paint job. It's actually, I think, quite superb, as is most of the early Robots in Disguise toys are very well painted. But these are not the colors I would have chosen for Skybite. Even granted, making him a great white shark, it's an odd color scheme. That said, over the years, I've grown to not hate it anymore. There is a certain charm to it. But definitely if I was to choose my favorite color scheme, it'd have to go to Cybershark. The gray, green, and sea blue is just such a more ocean color scheme for this deep sea warrior. And I think really fits him. Also keep in mind, this model was originally intended to be a tiger shark, which is why Skybite doesn't quite look like a great white, although, I mean, it's a shark. Not that different. Now for weapons, this model is actually chock full of them. A bit unusual for a Beast Wars toy of this era, unfortunately, as the Maximals and Predacons tended to go more and more towards built-in teeth and claw type weapons. We would go overboard at this in Beast machines. But for Cybershark, he's chock full of weapons. Actually, again, just like Depth Charge. At one point, I thought maybe Cybershark was like a reincarnated version of Depth Charge. For the weapon, we got a rather small, short, stubby gun, but it is armed with 2 torpedoes. These are actually shark missiles that go into the figure's mouth. For Cybershark, the whole thing is straight up green. The missiles, the launcher, the buttons, everything. But for Skybite, the missiles and the triggers here are actually painted gray on a yellow launcher. So nice to see a little contrast there. But these are not the only weapons that Skybite actually has. Although, interesting enough, he doesn't really use any of these in the show. He does make use of this wonderfully savage-looking 4-fingered claw weapon, but he never actually uses the Shark missile launcher in robot mode, only in beast mode. Instead, utilizing the Spark Crystal as a tsunami blaster. I don't know why Robots in Disguise chose to do that. But again, even this Shark missile launcher is not the only weapon he has. These fins on the side actually come off. And yes, they're meant to come off. Now in Shark's case, the fins are just simply slate gray. Skybite's, though, the outside is painted blue, and the actual inside here, you can see, is the actual plastic is white. And Skybite's meant to be able to hold these as sort of blade-type weapons. I don't quite call them a sword, but as you see, he can in fact be armed with them. And you can arm him with either one, or fit one underneath and one above, and use it as sort of a two-handed weapon. I'm not quite sure what they're meant to be. As a kid, I actually played them a little bit like the Fusor Silverbolt, as sort of a blade weapon that he could throw like a grenade and explode if he wanted to, and just simply pop out whenever he needed one. But again, plenty of weapons, from the anchor claw to the 2 tail fin blade sword things, throwing stars, throwing knives, to the double launcher shark missiles here. Although I would think torpedoes, being a sea creature, but flight is also not denied Skybite. As you can see, he's hopefully you can still make out the etching and molding for the inside of the fin here. This is the rib cage. The turbos are here, the rocket towards the bottom, as long as you positioned it the right way. Thus allowing Skybite to, yes, fly in his robot mode, which he does do in the show as well. Now, they've actually come out with other Skybite toys since this original one. Transformers Generations did create a new Skybite, along with several Beast Wars and toy. Ironically enough, although the Beast War toys are more show accurate, and Tanker at least is in his robot mode, perhaps not quite so for his tank mode, quite so much. The Generation Skybite is actually less accurate than this model, because Robots in Disguise, they really tried to nail accuracy with their toys, partly because of the backlash Beast Machines face for being so inaccurate to the toys. Since then, Cyberverse has actually come out with its own version of Skybite, including a set of Spark armor for the character. I have not owned either toy, but based solely on appearance, I'd actually think this one is probably the best, simply for no other reason than it looks to be show accurate, and it comes with all the original gadgets and gizmos that Cybershark had, and that's now Skybites, that are now Skybites to possess, which is removed from the other versions of the toy. They remove the third mode, they remove most of the the excess weaponry. Again, he didn't use it in the show after all. The Cyberverse Skybite might be accurate to the Cyberverse version of Skybite, but of course it's not going to be as accurate to the Robots in Disguise version, which is the one I was interested in owning. Although, I said before, I originally never intended to own this figure, but I figured since I was doing the Robots in Disguise series, it would behoove me to get all the, at least show character toys. And like I said, if you don't own Cybershark, it is one of the best models to come out of the Beast Wars line, despite being a little bit tricky with those shoulder pads. So if you like the Beast Wars style, definitely I recommend this model, but for perhaps it's a little bit older than 5 years old, though, despite what the box art might have said. This is definitely a teenager toy. It said Beast Wars was marketed towards teens and young adults. Rose in the Skies, yeah, that was probably marketed for 5 and up-year-olds. But I would not say Skybite would actually be appropriate for them. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this review of Skybite, and I hope you'll join me again for another review. Thanks for listening.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shore of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the 10-house gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain.
Hey, what are you doing here, Skybite?
Skybite terrorized!